of Fan2Fan Detroit. I'm your host. I hope you know me by now. I'm Andrew Norris. This is Double P, producer Parker in the building. What's going on, my guy?
Hey, everybody. Just staying alive and being positive, and I'm assuming gaining weight.
I was fully expecting to be like an easy 220, 230 when I got out of all of this. But I think the existential dread and the depression that comes with it is saving me because I'm just not ever hungry. The depression has got me so hard that the appetite is gone.
Does dread burn calories? Yes. I think we're all going to come out looking fine, but
yeah, I didn't go from 250 to 180 off of exercise. It was dread and stress.
I'm not going to lie. I haven't weighed myself in like 3 years. I just don't need to panic attack.
Just don't do it. Just don't do it. That's one of the worst parts about becoming an adult.
Weighing
you get fat. Well, you get fat, and then you got to weigh yourself, and then you got to think about when you were 16. Do you disagree?
No, I mean, I went to college, and I knew what was going to happen. You know, it's just inevitable. It's 24/7 sandwiches, all you want, whenever you want. Like, you know.
You're a big sandwich guy. See, I make up for it with my movie star good looks.
You think I don't eat sandwiches? You think I'm not eating a fucking sandwich right now?
I know, dude. I know you got a sandwich sitting in that toaster oven. But anyways, today we got some cool stuff for you. First, we're going to be doing basically an award show for the NBA. We don't know if the season's over, but I think it would be a fair and logical assumption to make that at least the regular season is over. So it's time to pick your MVP, your most improved player, your sixth man of the year, etc. So we got something cool for that set up. We're going to have some nice debates on that. And then, of course, the NFL draft is Thursday. What will the Lions do? They're going to take Tua. Is it going to be Okuda? Are they going to trade back with Miami? Maybe the Chargers? Maybe the Panthers? Who knows? It's Bob Quinn. Maybe the Patriots. So we're going to be giving you our boldest and hottest takes for the NFL draft. And then so little bit of a switch up today. Normal hour and a half show. We're probably going to be closer to an hour today because we will be back on Friday at 6:30, right, Parker?
It'll be whenever the draft is done. The draft's going to be done at like 11:30 midnight or something like that.
All right, cool. I'm going to do it later.
That happens.
Cool. So yeah, we'll be back Friday after day 2 is done. So we'll have first and second round picks to discuss with you. So make sure you're back with us. Follow us on Twitter at Fan2Fan Drew. I'll tell you exactly when that show is going to happen at Fan2Fan Detroit and at Parker_Hammond. But before we get into any of that, I know something we were talking about before the show that I think is interesting, and I think you've had a better grasp on it, and you have a better grasp on this type of thing.
Wow.
But what have you thought about, I guess, the content that we've been getting from the Sports Centers or the Bleacher Reports or the Ringers or the Barstools during all this? Because we know it's a struggle for us. I think we've done an okay job with it, but we know it's a struggle. But these bigger companies with millions of disposable dollars, how do you think about their job so far with it?
Well, I mean, that's a good question. First of all, if you're a sports entity right now, it's kind of impossible. I mean, there's not really a way to continue doing what you were doing. There have been some good things, though. ESPN has turned the Dan Le Batard daytime TV half hour highly questionable. It turned into highly quarantined. That's been really fun. There's some good clips out there of that. We've seen some creative uses of Zoom. I know you sent me this weird video of Katie Nolan's staff. I think it's her and her staff sending out blind Zoom invitations and seeing what celebrities show up. That was
was awesome. That was so fun, dude. Just the names that showed up to that, and you could tell everybody who showed up was like, "What the fuck is happening right now?"
No spoiler, but Bob Lay shows up and he has a mustache. It's really cool.
Mustache and a custom green screen background. Says nothing and dips. Just gets out of there. He's like, I'm not messing with these kids right now. I don't know what I'm doing on this laptop. I got this weird ass waterfall behind me. I'm done. And he dipped.
He's not even the most famous person that shows up. Some actual celebrity show up. That's pretty fun.
Clayton Kershaw, Dwayne Wade.
I've been watching it. I've been listening. I listen to Pardon My Take. I don't watch Pardon Take, or not Pardon My Take. Pardon the Interruption. Excuse me. I really don't listen to Pardon My Take that much. Pardon the interruption, has been good. They're even more like crotchety than they usually are. They're even like angrier and kind of like just yelling at the clouds, which is great. I love listening to Tony Kornheiser just kind of be angry. He's really
Oh
good.
yeah. Yeah, and him and Wilbon are probably getting on each other's nerves. Is
Yeah.
Wilbon still on there? I don't watch ESPN anymore. It's still Wilbon and Kornheiser, right? Okay, cool.
They're still awesome, by the way. They're still the best. They're so good at what they do.
So something kind of a little bit outside the sports world that I thought they've done a great job with, and we've actually touched on this in the earlier shows, but the real struggle to come up with content is a scripted show in the WWE in front of no fans, and they've been killing it. I want your take on this idea. So, do you know what the Money in the Bank ladder match is?
Of course, Money in the Bank ladder match. Yeah, for sure. I've seen it. Right. But why don't you give them an intro?
Right. So, once a year, the WWE has two matches, one for the female superstars, one for the male superstars, where you climb a ladder. At the top of this ladder, there's a briefcase hanging up there. It's you versus 6 to 7 other people. And if you get that briefcase, you get a championship match whenever you want. It could be directly after somebody just got their ass kicked or whatever. You get the match whenever you want.
Yeah.
This year, they're going to the corporate 100-story WWE building. And the briefcase is going to be on the top floor or the roof of this giant building. And it's a race from the bottom to the top. First of all, do you think they can pull it off? Because like this, they're going to do it, I assume, kind of the production value way that they did the Undertaker match at WrestleMania or the John Cena Bray Wyatt match at WrestleMania, where it was more of a movie setting. But do you think they can pull that off?
I like 100 Floors of Doom with the WWE. Like they go up to a floor and they have to fight a frog person. And then there's like a floor where like Dr. Pepper falls out of the sky and they have to navigate it. I like it. I like the idea of like WWE meets a Dungeons and Dragons dungeon. I think that I'd watch 100 million hours.
I love it. I love it. And by the way, I 100,000,000% think if I put you on that writing team, you would make it better than they do because they are all trash.
That's like my dream, dude. That's a lot of dreams happening all at once. I would love to do that. Can we get like a room? Can we light a room on fire like a little bit, just enough to make them nervous that something might happen? I mean, there's all sorts of.
Not anymore. Vince McMahon doesn't let people light tables on fire and slam through them anymore because it's a liability issue or something.
Yeah, dude, lighting yourself on fire is a little bit of a liability issue.
Now, the best piece of sports content we've got in months, years, I don't know. Those first two episodes of The Last Dance were tremendous.
Yeah.
So I'm somebody who I get in so many basketball arguments with old people that I've always been sick and tired of being told you're 22, you didn't watch these guys, you didn't do this. So I have like this internal thing where I have to go watch as many old basketball games and clips and documentaries as I can. And I was still learning a lot in this that I didn't know. Mm-hmm. Like I knew Scottie Pippen was underpaid. I had no idea Scottie Pippen was the 123rd highest player in the league, 7th highest paid player on the Bulls, and making $3 million a year until 98-99.
You know, and you see a lot of that because of, you know, his family and where he comes from. And he talks a little bit about it. He had to have that longevity, that stability. And right. I get that. And I don't like Jerry Reinsdorf, who is at the time the owner of the Bulls, who I think so far looks like a pretty reasonable guy. Mm-hmm. Like I begged him not to sign that contract. No, he didn't.
Yeah, no, you didn't. And if you did, honestly, you're kind of dumb. Like I get you're rooting for somebody, but you're the owner of a team. You're trying to make them successful. But Scotty, and then Jordan comes on and he's like, well, I think Scotty was being selfish when he wanted to sit out. And I just want go away, dude. No, Michael Jordan was underpaid too until 94. Don't get me wrong. He was only making $3 million a year till 94, and he didn't necessarily complain about it. But that doesn't mean that guys should have to take a $20 million pay cut and just be like, it's cool. It's just ridiculous. You see at the bottom we have the ESPN roast of Jerry Krause.
That's what it was.
That whole first episode and a lot of the second episode was every single thing Jerry Krause did wrong. We're pointing it out.
Jerry Krause is almost like bizarro Danny DeVito.
Because he's short?
He's shaped like Danny DeVito, but he's totally uncool.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. Now, the thing that I think is going to be forgotten about Jerry Krause in this is that he built the second greatest dynasty in basketball history, and he didn't he didn't get lucky. He traded up for Scottie Pippen. Like, he got Dennis Rodman. He took Michael Jordan. Like, there's a lot of things that he did right.
Tony Kukoc.
And just because he wasn't perfect, and just cause, like, I think it's pretty obvious he's a dude with some issues going on. He can't get his thoughts together. He's always inside his own head. That's the takeaway I got from it, is that it's kind of that Napoleon syndrome thing. He's always trying to prove that he's the man.
Yeah.
And I think that's what eventually did him in. But is trying to rebuild after a fifth title in 5 years with Jordan, obviously the 2 years in there, but is trying to rebuild in that fifth year the ultimate smartest guy in the room move?
It's one of them, right? I mean,
like, you're in the fit, like, that's 5 out of 7 years total, and all 5 with Mike, you've won a ring, and you're like, yeah, but I don't know about next year. We just won the finals in 5 games, but I'm not sure. It's a really unbelievable up and down with him through those first 2 episodes.
It's incredible. It's incredible that, like, it's just incredible to me that there wasn't a bunch of people out there like screaming at Jerry Krause on the street. Why are you doing this? Why, Jerry? Why would you do this? That's a good question. It hasn't really been answered. What?
I think a lot of that has to do with the if that was happening today in 2020, we would know about it. In 1996, I don't know if you knew about it until, it came out at a later date. Obviously, they knew some of what was going on. They knew there was issues with Scottie. Obviously, you were having those couple years getting Mike in and out of the league, or out and into the league. But I do think that that's something that would have been enhanced in today's day and age as opposed to back then.
The 24-hour microscope of sports.
Yeah.
What
are you most excited for next week? Because I know what I'm most excited for next week.
What are you most excited for next week?
Michael Jordan whining about the bad boys for 2 hours.
Oh,
He's going to sit there and cry for 2 hours.
I'm hoping that we get some real nice new interview footage too. I mean, there's lots of good stuff for the bad boys calling Jordan a baby, but I want some new clips of them calling Jordan a baby.
Yeah, I want a fresh Bill Laimbeer fuck Michael Jordan. Just crisp, and especially with the no beeps. They're not beeping anything out. They're not censoring anything. I want to fuck Michael Jordan from Bill Laimbeer.
I'm gonna break the wall of this podcast. Mine had beeps in it. How did you get not?
No, yours had beeps.
Yeah, I was on the ESPN Plus app, which
I was on.
Sure almost collapsed, by the way.
Mine did collapse for a second. I missed 2 minutes. No, mine. Nothing was censored on mine. There was fucks here and fucks there. It was really interesting.
Had a bunch of beeps. Okay, well, I guess that's just for me.
Yeah. And my advice for all Detroit sports fans right now is to be on Twitter for episodes 3 and 4. It is going to be Detroit versus everybody. It's going to be everybody hating on the Pistons and what they did to Jordan, and we got to be there to tell everybody to eat it. That's what we got to do. We got to be loud.
You agree that you play to win the game?
Yeah. Yeah, well, he won, but that's the thing. That's the thing about Michael Jordan. When he's talking about the bad boys, he's not going to agree with that. I mean, he obviously. But anyways, I say we get into our NBA award show right now. Yeah. I almost wore a suit for you guys today, but I couldn't find my suit. I'm bad with wardrobes and keeping it organized. But we basically are going to do all the NBA awards, and then first, second, and third team NBA. If you disagree with us, if you agree with us, leave a comment on either Facebook or YouTube. Let us know your thoughts. But let's get it started.
I'll come fucking yell at you.
Yeah, dude, I'll find your IP address and fry that shit.
Come after you.
Don't doubt me. 1v1 me on Rust, quick scopes. All right, let's start with the biggest and the baddest one.
Yeah.
The most valuable player of the National Basketball Association. I want to hear your take first on this one.
I think it's pretty cut and dry. I think everybody's going to say it's pretty cut and dry. And I think that it's kind of a shame because it was becoming less cut and dry. And we never really got to see it finish, in my opinion. Just when it became a race, it ended. It's Giannis. It's got to be Giannis. It's got to be first place Giannis, second place LeBron, and third place James Harden. I don't know what other options there are. I hear the arguments for LeBron, and if we'd had 2 more weeks of season, you might have had something. But
That's my exact thought. Like LeBron made it a race when he beat the Bucks and the Clippers. That's when it became a race. And if you had those last 20 games of the season, there possibly would have been a discussion there, especially if he played all those games while Giannis missed a week or two with a knee injury.
Mhm.
But the simple fact of the matter is Giannis has been nutty this year. Like not just MVP good, but one of the greatest seasons of all time good. 30 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists. Leads the league in defensive win shares. He's got like the 7th highest player efficiency rating all time. The only dudes to ever have a higher player efficiency rating for a full season. Wilt did it 3 times. Jordan did it twice. And LeBron did it once. So it's pretty damn good company to be in.
Yeah, that's really, in my opinion, what this season was a Wilt Chamberlain impression.
Yeah, for sure. Just bigger, faster, stronger.
Doing all the things, gobbling up all the stats.
The other thing that I think kind of gives him the edge is he doesn't have the number 2 of the other guys. And I'm not hating on Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton is an all-star level NBA player, a near all-NBA level player. He's really, really good. But he's not Paul George and he's not Anthony Davis. And this Bucks team was still like 60 or like 60 and 15 or 55 and 10 or something like that. They were on pace.
They were on pace for one of those 70-win seasons.
Yeah, 53 and 12. Before the Giannis injury, they were on pace for 70 wins exactly, and then I think they lost a couple. So 53 and 12 is what they were. I just don't really think it's a discussion for first. Now, if you're talking about who the runner-up is, I do think there's a discussion between LeBron and James Harden. And James Harden, to me, is just once again, the ultimate forgotten man for this MVP discussion.
Mm-hmm.
This dude's still putting up 34 points a game, 7.5 assists. Russell Westbrook had that month and a half stretch where he was just balling, and James Harden took a step back, let Westbrook do his thing, and was still putting up 30-plus points a game. He's been unreal this year. Just some stats. Leads the league in win shares, has a 62% true shooting percentage, which leads the league. I don't think Harden's the MVP, but I think it's a little bit crazy that people have just completely left him out of the discussion.
People just don't like watching the Rockets play, and I guess I can see why they wouldn't. I personally don't feel that way. I love watching the Rockets play. I really enjoyed watching super small ball Rockets. I really enjoyed that team. I thought they were fun.
I guess it really just boils down to, do you like the 3-point shot, or are you an old head that wants post game?
How is what the Rockets are doing less interesting than the 8 millionth Stockton Malone pick and roll? Like, when
it's not. And I know, then everybody's rebuttal to that would be, I don't care about the 3-pointers. I don't want to watch Harden shoot 20 free throws a game. I get if you don't want to watch Harden shoot 20 free throws a game, but I don't understand you just forgetting about him in the MVP because he gets some points off free throws. Free throws are the most efficient shot in basketball. Stop forgetting about him. Stop acting like it's some cheap way to score. It's the best way to score in basketball. Andre Drummond at the free throw line is more efficient than the average NBA team is in the half-court offense. That's my little rant on free throws. I don't.
Free throws to me are also make your free throws is I feel like kind of an old head line too,
Yeah. Get to the rim, get physical, make your free throws. But it doesn't matter when a guy's flopping.
You ever watch Vince Carter play?
Yeah.
Carter, I swear, would lose his voice every game and go,
yeah, dude, arms flailing. The ultimate arm flailer in Vince Carter, just here all day.
Yeah.
So Giannis, we both agree. Now another one that the race is getting cut short because of the shortened season is the Ja versus Zion Rookie of the Year. It's Ja. It's got to be Ja. The Grizzlies were supposed to be the worst team or bottom 3 worst team in the league this year, and they are sitting in the 8th seed in the West. And I know ever since Zion came back, the Pelicans have been surging, and they're 2.5, 3.5 games back right now at the Grizzlies, and I think they would have caught them because they were playing so well, but it just doesn't matter. Zion played 19 games.
Yeah, and this will become more apparent as we kind of go through the deeper awards, but this is a regular season award. You know, you can only judge it based on what's in front of you. You can pick whatever criteria you want, but all the data you have is all the data that there is. So you can, like, was Zion better in those 19 games? Yeah, maybe. I mean, he looks like a revolutionary basketball player, but Ja was the best rookie for the other 45 games in the season. So,
yeah, and not to mention, this isn't some rookie season from Ja where there would be a debate really any other year. This is not an all-time rookie season, but this is a top level rookie season, even for a rookie of the year. This is, like Damian Lillard level rookie season type stuff, where he won the rookie of the year over Anthony Davis, who was supposed to be the favorite, but he missed some time. I think it's very similar to that. And it's funny that it's the Pelicans, but I think it's very similar to that. And I don't want the discussion just to be, it would have been Zion, because then I feel like we're just forgetting about how good, but I'm done talking about Ja, even though I just said I want to talk more about Ja. But how good is Zion going to be this year, or overall?
I think
what's his ceiling?
Is like, there's an old,
because I've been trying to put a statistic ceiling on it, and I can't.
The statistic ceiling is like Russell Westbrook's like triple-double year. I feel like it's something like that.
I would agree, or maybe like even a little bit less of a Giannis this year, because that dude can rebound. Like Zion can rebound. I don't think I think you need length to get 14 rebounds, but I think it's like a Giannis light almost. I think if you took the length of Giannis and replaced it with just pure strength, and Zion's still got good length, but it's not freak alien Giannis length. Yeah, that they're actually pretty similar players, except for Zion's already further along in his jump shot than Giannis probably is right now. Well, not right now, but he's further along than Giannis was for the first 4 years of his career at minimum. I think this guy's going to be like if he could stay healthy, like a top 20 player to ever play the game.
Yeah, I would say top 20, for sure, top 20. One of the things about these transcendent elite NBA players is they all have, I think, unreplicable bodies in a lot of different ways, and I think that Zion has that. Zion's body is freaking weird. He's 6'6", but like he weighs the same as LeBron.
280. He weighs more than LeBron. He's the heaviest. I think he's the heaviest player in the NBA this year, or the top 3.
Look, I don't know.
He's as fast as anybody. He's as agile as anybody. It's my argument that the 80s and the 90s are worse than today, right? Because athletes don't regress. When LeBron came into the league, that was the most freakish athlete we've ever seen in basketball. And then Giannis came into the league, and that might be the most freakish athlete we've ever seen in basketball. And now there's Zion, who I can confidently say is the most freakish athlete I've ever seen in basketball.
He's one of a kind, and that's what it takes to be special like that. And I think he's going to be, as long as he can stay on the court. And he's like Tua, but basketball. He just makes you nervous.
Yeah, no, I get that.
He's around, he's a blast to watch.
Yeah. Oh, dude, he himself makes me tune in for sure. All right, let's move on to the Defensive Player of the Year. Real quick, I want to say I think it's funny that in both of our notes we both put, I don't think Rudy Gobert is going to win anything, even if he deserves it.
It's not his fault. It's not his fault, but he's not going to win any awards this year. Sorry, man.
You got to take a year off. You don't get a DPOY. You don't get an All NBA. No, that's it. Who's your pick for DPOY? I want to hear yours first.
I think it's Anthony Davis. I just think that it's him. There have been some other really good players this year, but I think the people who would compete with him the most haven't played as much. People like Kawhi or Paul George or Draymond hasn't been the same because of that team. Kevin Durant hasn't played. Rudy Gobert can't win. He got DQ'd. It's him. He's who's left, and that's kind of what's happened this year.
Yeah, so I think there's going to be a real debate coming up here pretty soon between the analytics community and the eye test community, which I think me and you kind of fall right in the middle between those two things. We've kind of found a way to use both. But I think the eye test I lean that way a little bit, but I think the eye test tells you Anthony Davis is the defensive player of the year. He was like the thing I get DPOY off of when Draymond was winning them. It was because he was making clutch defensive plays that won you ball games, and he's always good. But the thing that makes you great, I think, is the ability to step up and make a game-changing play on defense, where it's a lot harder to do than on offense. I've never seen somebody make as many clutch defensive plays as Anthony Davis did this year. It was Warriors Draymond. It was Pistons Ben Wallace. But the argument from the analytic crowd is going to be Giannis led the league in defensive win shares. He led the league in, I believe, his opponent's field goal percentage against him. All these advanced defensive stats that I don't fully understand. Defensive rating, he led it in. That all goes to Giannis. But I just don't think it matters. And this is where the discussion gets so hard, because if I'm arguing this with somebody who's picking Giannis, they're going to win the argument. They have the numbers, they have the facts to back it up. But if you are sitting there watching Anthony Davis every couple of days, you just see it. It's every play, every time they need it. There's a block, there's a steal, he's stepping in the lane, he's contesting a shot, he can switch everywhere. At 6'10", he can switch everywhere. He's just, in my eyes, it's the pick for me. And I would love, again, like I said earlier, debate me in the comments, because I want to see what your full argument is for Giannis. I want to see anybody's full argument. But Anthony Davis was the best defense.
Stashed around the apartment. So if you want to debate me, I've got nunchucks in those plants over there.
Son. Most improved? Wait, go ahead.
Yeah. I can go to most improved. This is like kind of a weird award. It's like six man, where you never really know. I think it kind of becomes a little more personal opinion than anything else. So I've kind of put together a list of like 5 or 6 guys who I think could be most improved player this year. I think there's actually a lot of options because we haven't had as many stars. There's been a lot of light to kind of gather up. So we've got let's start with Devontae Graham of the Hornets.
Unreal year, out of nowhere became one of the best shooters in the league. But the way I look at Devontae Graham is, I think a lot more of this production you're seeing from him isn't this. It's this step. He's taken a big step. He's got a lot better. But I think it's more the fact that he's just got the volume. He is the number one option there. Somebody's got to put some points up for the Hornets, and he was the guy this year. So I wouldn't give it to him. I'd say he's in the running. He's probably a finalist, but he wouldn't be my pick.
Okay. Luka Doncic, certainly the most talented player that's in the running.
So having Luka win most improved player this year, that argument to me is a little bit like when Steph won his first MVP. The next season, when he was going to win his second MVP, people wanted him to be most improved player along with his second MVP. And if you looked at his stats, there was a jump in everything. His points, rebounds, assists, everything got better. He got better at everything. But in my opinion, to be the most improved player, you have to be a little bit lesser known of a commodity. Luka was awesome his rookie year.
Yeah,
he's amazing. He's miles better this year, but the jump is less. The statistical jump is great, but I think the jump is less for him than some of these other guys.
Okay. The second most talented player on the list, Bam Adebayo.
That is my pick. And it kind of goes behind the same reasoning of what I just said, where last year he was a good player, but he was a rotational piece with potential, and he jumped all the way to an all-star this year, and the second best player on like a title contender, or at least an Eastern Conference championship contender. He went from, let me see, I got these numbers here. He went from 8 to 16 points a game. That's double the points. His assists went from 2 to 5 a game. He's one of the best passing big men in the league now. So that's my pick. I think it's Bam. I think the jump is just astronomical. The potential was there, but it's the ability to capitalize and actually reach that potential.
A two-way game record too.
Yes, absolutely.
Unstoppable. Probably the third best defender in the league this year. Second best defender in the league this year.
Yeah, he's up there.
I've got like 2 more. Domantas Sabonis is another one who's, I think, kind of risen to a prominence.
Yeah, Domantas Sabonis is awesome. I think he's putting up like 20 and 11 this year. But it's kind of it's the same argument. He was good already, and he wasn't great like he's great now. He wasn't an all-star, but that jump is just smaller like than a jump that Bam's is, and that's all this is. It's not the best out of the most improved people. It's the most improved. So Sabonis,
to the Pacers. Shout out to the Pacers for like putting together a super good competitive team in Indiana, which is not easy.
Not easy at all. And who's your last guy?
I've got two guys from the same team, and I feel like this might like kind of cancel them out. Maybe I've got Christian Wood and I've got Derrick Rose, Pistons. Maybe you've heard of them.
I have not. Christian Wood have been in the discussion had we had 20 more games, and he kept playing how he was playing. Christian Wood went from a guy who was getting cut to a guy who's probably going to get $12 to $15 million this offseason.
Well, let me ask you this about Christian Wood. Is he disqualified because he played like 18 games last year and showed a lot of this?
I don't think so. Because that's a good question, actually. I think about it because I think a lot of the improvement actually comes off the court, which I don't think you should necessarily take into this. But no, because you still have to earn those minutes. You still have to get on the court. And I think the fact that he couldn't do that consistently last year just helps his case instead of hurts his case. And then Derrick Rose, he used to be an MVP. Come on. Good. He was awesome. He was better than he was with, the last couple years. He really was awesome. I think he'll be awesome next year, but no, we can't give it to Derrick Rose.
Sixth man of the year.
Who's your pick, man? This was tough for me.
So, okay, I kind of cheated because honestly, I just didn't really know who it could be. So I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to read you the Vegas odds from like a week before the season ended for sixth man of the year, and you can tell me which one you like. It's Lou Williams is the best odds, plus 150. That just feels like name recognition, honestly. That's like, oh, is Jamal Crawford available? Is Jamal Crawford Montrezl Harrell, 1 plus 175, which I don't love either because can you be the sixth guy if the other guy is also the sixth guy?
Yeah, I think they cancel each other out for sure.
Dennis Schroeder, plus 200, played for that upstart Thunder team, backing up Chris Paul, kind of. Derrick Rose, plus 1,000.
Wow, that's good odds.
I like those odds. Derrick Rose was fucking awesome this year. Goran Dragic is plus 5,000. Jordan Clarkson plus 8,000. Rudy Gay plus 10,000. Eric Gordon plus 1,000. Jeremy Grant.
Would you say Schroeder's odds were?
Plus 200.
I'm putting the house on Schroeder. Yeah. Lou Will and Montrezl Harrell. So the people who are going to vote for either of those two guys are the Clippers slappies because neither of them have been better than Schroeder this year. And then they're going to take votes away from each other. So boom, eliminate both of them. Schroeder this year has been the best bench player in the NBA, and I don't necessarily think it's close. This Thunder team has been running out a guard lineup of Chris Paul and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who have been phenomenal all year. Gilgeous took a huge step. Chris Paul has just proven he's worth almost, if not every single dime of that contract he's on right now, and it just wasn't a great fit in Houston. But every time Dennis Schroeder comes into the game, they don't lose a step. And coming into this year, I didn't believe in really his whole career. I haven't really believed in Dennis Schroeder in any role. And it's because he's always been mega inefficient, 40% shooter from the field, can't really shoot the three. Then all of a sudden he comes this year and he's shooting 47% from the field and 38% from three, which is unbelievable numbers for a bench guard. That guy can't, he's not cracking your starting lineup. Yeah. He leads the league in real plus minus, which for those of you who don't know at home is the player's average impact of points in 100 possession stretch. I don't know how they get the calculation for it, but it's points added over 100 possession stretch. His was like 7.8 points, which is the highest of any bench player in the league. 10th in the league out of everybody. The only people in front of him are the Hardens, the CP3s, the LeBrons, the Giannis's, those guys. And it's not easy to be able to have your team perform on the same level when you come in the game as it is when two all-star guards in front of you are in the game. And that's exactly what he's done. He's been phenomenal. That team has just been that might be my favorite team like this year, obviously outside of the Pistons and the Lakers.
They've definitely been the like NBA nerd team of the year.
They just get it done. They play good, solid basketball. They have a lot of talent. They don't have a ton of top end talent, but they have a lot of that middling talent. And it's made this year so I thought the Rockets fans were going to have to go into this year and for the first time in a decade watch a team win 30 games, and it was just going to be rough. And instead, they watched like maybe the most fun team in basketball. I think it's either them or the Pelicans for most fun team in basketball.
I put the Lakers in there too, and they're
yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the Lakers have gone showtime at some points. But yeah, that's my pick. What you with me on that one?
Yeah, I like Derrick Rose plus 1,000. I'm gonna do the homer pick.
Yeah, well, it's good odds. It's good odds, but Pistons players get no
sports writers love a story, man. Sports writers love a story.
That's true.
The NBA loves a story. They love it's all narrative, baby. You got to play the system.
That's true. What
What
do we got next?
We're gonna breeze through Coach of the Year and Executive of the Year. I have a few picks. Did you put any together for like Executive of the Year?
I don't have Executive. I do have Coach of the Year, but hit me with both of them real quick, and then if I have anything else to say, I'll just.
I have two picks for Executive of the Year, and then a gold star, and then an actual pick for Executive of the Year. I want to give a gold star to Scott Layden of the Timberwolves for getting rid of Andrew Wiggins and bringing in Karl Anthony Towns' best friend, who's also an NBA All-Star. So gold star, good job, maybe. They were 3-9 with those two together, by the way, so maybe not that good. But
it might just be a cat problem at this point, dude.
Yeah, and is Karl Anthony Towns going to be the first player to sign a 5-year deal every year of the 5-year deal?
Oh man, probably.
I've got David Griffin and Sam Presti for Executive of the Year. The two teams we just talked about, the Pelicans and the Thunder. I think the Thunder were really I feel like the closest thing to a management win you can have is what the Thunder have pulled off this year.
I agree. And
then the real Executive of the Year is Andre Iguodala for getting more than $30 million out of two NBA teams this year, showing up out of state, out of shape, playing 5 games, and then the league got canceled, and he just gets that money now.
Yeah, it's fully guaranteed in the NBA. I hadn't thought about that before we were talking about it pre-show and you brought it up. And that is the heist of the century.
Congratulations.
It's like first the OG, there was Josh Smith's contract.
Yeah.
Now there's Andre Iguodala, and it's not even in the same stratosphere. He showed up for a week. He was chilling on beaches for the first 3 months of the season, showed up for a week, signed a 2-year, $30 million contract, and now he's done. And then even if he does have to play, he plays 4 regular season games and then goes straight to the playoffs.
Competes for a title.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, yeah, good for him. That's a good pick. And what about your coach?
Iguodala.
Yes, yeah. All right, that's our vote. We're writing them in. Coach of the Year. What's your pick?
You and I both agree, I think, on who the number 1 and number 2 guy are. I don't know if we have them in the same order. For me, it's Nick Nurse and Budenholzer in Milwaukee.
I would have Taylor Jenkins from Memphis ahead of Budenholzer, but I would have Budenholzer third.
And I have Eric Spoelstra, also. It's kind of float.
He's got to be in there somewhere. I think we've just got so used to Eric Spoelstra teams overperforming that it's kind of the LeBron fatigue MVP effect, and he just gets underappreciated in those. But this Miami Heat team wasn't supposed to be this good.
No, they're supposed to be a fringe playoff team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You just make a Duncan Robinson, you make a Kendrick Nunn just come out of nowhere.
Duncan Robinson, future All-Star.
Future Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Future GOAT, if you will.
13 points a game, 45% shooting from Duncan Robinson this year.
That's unreal. That's unreal. But who? So your pick is Nick Nurse. We both picking Nick Nurse here.
Yeah, Nick Nurse.
Yeah.
No, actually, I'll say I can go Budenholzer because I feel like that team is such a fucking juggernaut. Like, they're unstoppable. They do everything well. They play team defense. They play team offense. I know it's the Giannis show, but like, you can't just do the Giannis show and win that many games.
You're right.
At least no problem, but you can't be like a borderline all-time NBA regular season team without at least decent coaching. So
I agree. I would go Nick Nurse, and it's for the simple reason, two simple reasons. You lost Kawhi, you're still the second best team in the East. And these are their best players. These are their games missed this year. Kyle Lowry has missed 12 games. Fred VanVleet has missed 16 games. Pascal Siakam has missed 11 games, and Marc Gasol has missed 29 games. And they're 46-18.
They're really awesome. Yeah.
They're better than they ever were with DeMar DeRozan and Dwayne Casey and like that setup. They're better than they ever were. And it's because Nick Nurse is some type of freak genius.
He was like kind of a journeyman coach too. He was a G League coach. He was like a college coach, mid-major. I mean,
I'll be interested to see how those G League coaches work out over the next decade or so.
Yeah.
Because I think we're going to see a big wave of that coming here pretty soon. Teams got to stop hiring for names, and the G League is the perfect place to go. You've learned how to work with these top-level talents. Obviously, these are guys that can't make the league, but it's better than your average college roster. I think that's the way to go.
Doesn't have like a Lincoln Riley level guy who like could come, who's interested, who is churning out these top teams. Like I guess it's Krzyzewski, but I mean I don't think like Krzyzewski's like a college coach,
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
There's no Brad Stevens. There's no what Shaka Smart was a few years ago. Like there's none of those guys. You want to move into the All NBA teams?
Yeah, absolutely. These are the big boy awards. These are the championship awards.
Okay, so I'm just gonna read you. I want us both to read our first teams, and then I want to get into one debate we had yesterday because I want to know what people think. But my first team, the 2 guard spots are Harden and Damian Lillard. That was easy to me. The 2 forward spots are LeBron and Giannis, and then my center spot is the Joker.
Okay, so first team All-NBA, I have my guards Brad Beal and James Harden. I have LeBron and Giannis as my forwards, and Anthony Davis as I filled mine out as like guard, wing, and then big. And that was kind of, I thought, the best way to do it with the way the NBA is now. Anthony Davis is not a center, but I voted him as my center. And the reason why is because I don't give a shit about the rules. I'm a bad boy.
Well, we know that. We know that you're a bad boy.
Thank you. I'm a bad boy with manners.
So, like, typically I would agree with you. I don't care. Like, if Anthony Davis was a power forward, but he wasn't playing 80% of his minutes with a true center next to him, I would agree with you. But I think most of his minutes this year were played with either JaVale McGee or Dwight Howard playing next to him, which just gives you the freedom to play like a forward. And that's what he did this year. A ton of his shots came from the mid-range. He shot a bunch of threes. Still a ton of post work, obviously. But I think he played more like a forward, which is why I had to leave him off my first team because I wasn't putting him over Bron or Giannis. He's that next guy, but I wouldn't put him over.
Third best player in the NBA this year. I'm going to leave him off first team All NBA because of a form, because of a technicality.
But the point is that, but he's going. If you're voting him for center, he's going against other guys who are playing center. He's not playing center.
If he was playing
just
center,
because he's tall,
better than all those guys.
He would be better than all those guys.
It's the Tim Duncan thing. It's like, what do you do with Tim Duncan?
He's a forward.
I think he's a center. I think he's a big.
But like, I would agree with you if that was the layout. If it was guard, wing, big. But just because he's tall doesn't make him a center. Kevin Durant's not a center. He's the same size as Anthony Davis.
I agree. He'd be a wing. Or, I mean, you could probably vote Kevin Durant in as a big.
Yeah, you probably could.
He's like 6'11". With like a 8'9" wingspan or whatever dumb shit he is.
All right, you ready to be put on the spot?
Sure. No.
Make your case for Bradley Beal.
Okay, I think I have a pretty solid case for Bradley Beal, and it's that it's a regular season award, and in the regular season, Bradley Beal was more important to his team. He was better for his team. He was statistically superior, and he had less help than Dame did. He had 30.5 points a game. His second best player on that team is the Latvian laser himself, Davis Bertans. The third best player might be Rui Hachimura, who's maybe the sixth best rookie this year. And like Shabazz Napier is like his other guard. You know, they picked up Shabazz Napier in a trade halfway through the year. Nobody was one-man wrecking crewing at the level that Bradley Beal was this year. Not even LeBron, maybe Giannis.
Do you have his stats up there?
Yeah.
Did he miss any time this year? I'm remembering him missing time. Played like 60-something games, probably.
Played 57 games this year.
Oh, yeah, he didn't really – I mean, he missed a week in there probably.
34.
I don't hate it. The reason I put Dame is because this is a 60-game season, and there's a 20-game stretch in there where he was the best player in basketball. Like, at least offensively, he was the best scorer in basketball. He's got
NBA players next to him. So, like –
yeah, but I go the opposite way with that argument. I think the fact that Bradley Beal is the only option in Washington, like, makes those stats a little bit more meaningless. Like, they're not meaningless, but it takes away some of the 30 points a game. If John Wall's there or if he has another star next to him, I don't think he's putting up 30 this year, and I don't know if that's a fair way to frame it. But when Dame was on the top of his game this year, he was the best guard in basketball.
And I only think that because he's had like a lot of really good players next to him. I think if Bradley Beal was playing with CJ McCollum next to him, he could be open all the time.
I guess that's fair. I guess the argument can go both ways. Like it definitely works both ways. But I don't hate Brad Beal on the first team. I just think I have a hard time giving it to a guy who has like the third worst. What are the Wizards? Like the third worst team in the NBA, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. So how about that? You want to hear what the Wizards' record is? Do you want to know what the Wizards were this year? The Washington Wizards this year were 24-40. The Trailblazers had 29 wins. There were 5 wins.
They're playing in the West.
In the Wizards. Oh, I don't give a shit about that. The West wasn't so much better than the East was this year. I mean, it was
but like it's deeper, right? You're playing better. You're playing good teams every night. Like in the East, there's good teams, but there's a lot of really, really bad teams. Like there's a lot of really bad teams.
I think that if you put Bradley Beal on the Blazers, they'd be a better team than they are right now.
Oh, that's. We're going to have this like a full blown where I have 3 hours to like put my case together. We're going to have like a 20-minute discussion on this because that's a good one. All right, second team, because we are sure taking our time here.
What do we got to do?
Second team All NBA. I'm just going to say we're going to kind of go about it the same way. So I have my guard slots are Luka and Russell Westbrook. Mm-hmm. At my forwards, I have Kawhi, and there's where I have Anthony Davis. And then at my center spot, I have Joel Embiid.
I've got Dame on my second team is like the captain. Luka, my other guard, Kawhi and my second team, Pascal Siakam second team, and Jokic second team.
Okay, so yeah, so basically our difference there is the fact that you had Davis on your first team. I had to move Davis to my second team because forward, but Luka to me shoe in, Kawhi shoe in. And then Westbrook to me is like the one where you can really have a debate on it. But another guy who just had that tear through the middle of the season, that was maybe the best basketball Russell Westbrook has ever played. It was the most efficient, under control. I mean, he still had his moments of like taking this crazy 17-footer with 2 guys on him. But it might have been the best basketball he's played in his whole career.
It definitely was very close. It definitely was the best team basketball he's ever played. He definitely was playing the best for his team, it felt like, ever.
And then third team, so that's where I put Brad Beal. I had Brad Beal sitting in my guard slot along with Chris Paul, who we've discussed already. Amazing this year, just bringing a team to a place where they should have never been. That should have been like the 13th best team in the East or the West, and he made them better by quite a wide margin. And then my forwards are Pascal Siakam, and Brandon Ingram. And then my center, the most improved player, Bam Adebayo.
Team All NBA. I've got, let's see, where am I at here? I've got Russell. I've got Chris Paul. I've got Kat. I've got Jason Tatum. And I'm going to agree with you and say Brandon Ingram too.
Yeah.
I originally had Paul George. And I just kind of feel like I'm docking all of the Clippers players a team. Everybody gets bumped down a team because they don't take the regular season very seriously.
Yeah, they played this year like they were defending a title. It was really bizarre to me.
I would describe it as like pretty soft.
So my two guys who got left off that I don't feel great about them being left off, even though I think I made the right decisions here, is Trae Young and, like you said, Paul George.
I wasn't anywhere near Trae Young was further down my list than that. I get
well, Trae Young. The argument is the same as your Brett. Go ahead.
I know that that's like against my like Bradley Beal, like that it goes against my Bradley Beal argument. But I mean, it's different. Like he won more games, you know. That's
but by what? Like
the Hawks have good players. I think that we like to pretend like the Hawks have all these like just shit ass terrible G League players, and they don't. They've got some good players. They've got some young players. You know.
I mean,
the good teams win right away.
Yeah, but I don't think this Hawks roster is something that you can expect somebody to like lead them to the playoffs or anything.
Yeah. I think that you could. I think if Chris Paul's in there, that team wins 15 more games this year.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that, but I'm not going to hold a second-year player to the standard of Chris Paul, but I guess that's why he didn't make my third team.
That's why he's not all NBA. You know, this is NBA, right. NBA basketball, baby. You don't get that curve.
No, I agree. All right. Well, the NFL draft Thursday, it starts. The Lions will be on the clock, possibly at number 3, possibly at number 5, possibly at number 6, possibly at number 7. Depending on if there's a trade made. I mean, seriously, they could even all the way back to 9. They could trade with pretty much any of those teams. So what we want to do for you is give you some of our most fiery takes, some of our hottest takes, and I want to start that off with who you think the biggest first round bust will be.
Oh, biggest first round bust?
Yeah.
Well, I'll give you one that I'm going to feel bad about, and that's going to be either of those players who had flag tests.
So I saw Mekhi Becton.
Yeah.
Who was the second guy? I didn't see the second guy. Oh. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
I'll give you another Justin Herbert.
That's my pick.
Give you another one, Jordan Love.
Herbert's my pick. Herbert is my pick. That dude. Did you see the Wonderlic scores?
Yeah, but like Wonderlic is like.
I know. I'm not putting much stock into it, but the fact that when I watch Justin Herbert, and for people who don't know who are listening, the Wonderlic test is a test they give quarterbacks in the pre-draft process to basically understand their IQ, their ability to read a defense, basically their IQ of playing quarterback.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert, when I watch Justin Herbert, every single time I go, that guy's stupid. He's stupid. Like he doesn't know what he's doing. And every time I watch Tua, I go, that might be the smartest quarterback I've ever seen. The most accurate. He knows where to go every time. Tua got a 19 on the Wonderlic, and Justin Herbert got a 39.
I think Josh Rosen has like one of the 5 highest Wonderlic scores ever.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if
Patrick has another one.
I wish I had the whole list here if my computer was working, because I would really like to see how many of the top like 10 Wonderlic score guys ever really succeeded. I think Andrew Luck's way up there. I think he had a crazy Wonderlic score. But Tua got the same Wonderlic score as Lamar Jackson, which people were really grasping onto, like big time grasping onto. Do the Detroit Lions make a trade?
So I want to add on to Justin Herbert. It's crazy banana sandwich to me that NFL teams are thinking about taking him over Tua. Sorry.
Yeah, same.
I get
blows my mind
involved here, and like that there's with Tua you can't really be sure, but you're never ever really sure, you know. And there's been a couple of different doctors who've said that it's okay. Some neutral, some non. And I heard this isn't. I'm gonna kind of steal a take here. There's no way. We're looking at the top 6 pick that NFL teams haven't figured out a way to put 2 doctors in cap and gown and give everybody a test, and that they've like looked at it. There's just no way. The stakes are too high. There's way too much money on the line.
And I get it's a little bit harder this year because it's harder to get to the guy, or it's harder to get your people to him to do the physical or whatever. Yeah. But Rob Gronkowski got traded today and got a physical today. It's not impossible. Yeah. It's not impossible.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about.
Yeah, I just realized that when I said that we haven't talked about that yet.
That's happening right now.
Hey, I'll tell you what. Stick around for another 15 minutes if you're watching, and we'll get to Rob Gronkowski for you. So Lions trade, yes, no, maybe no. So
I think the Lions are going to end up with Okudah, and that's just going to have to be that. Nobody's trading up. It seems like the Lions have done everything in their power to say, hey, to put like their voices through a megaphone and say we would like to trade back. But if nobody wants to trade back, then you're trading up.
Like I don't think because a trade hasn't been made yet that's not happening, because you wait till you're on the clock to make the trade anyways. Because you got to see if Chase Young's there. You got to see what happens in those first 2 picks. And I know we had a discussion what we were just talking about, where Tua has lost some of his value because of the health concerns, because some people are higher on Justin Herbert, which is all true. But I think that value discrepancy gets made up where there is 3 teams in the top 10 who need a quarterback. The Lions are in the position to get the second best quarterback, because you don't want, if you trade up to 1, you're giving up 3 first-round picks and you're giving up all this nonsense. If you trade up to 3, you're probably only giving up your pick plus another first-round pick and then maybe a little sugar and spice on top of that, but nothing major. So I think that kind of brings the value back. Even if it was Herbert, they don't want Herbert. The Chargers don't want Herbert getting to 5, and then the Dolphins take him if the Dolphins love him too. So I think there is going to be interest in the trade, and I'm still on board with their trading with the Miami Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are in love with Tua, and I think if Bob Quinn has any ability to be a GM, he will convince the Miami Dolphins we're taking Tua if they don't trade for him.
I think that Miami's trying to chum the waters to not have to trade up to get Tua at 6. That's what I think is happening right now.
So you think the reports of them not being interested are fake along those lines?
No, I think that they're real. I think that they're real. They're real. What's the word? What is the thing that the president do? He always sees it's a distraction. He does a thing to distract from the thing. I think that that's what Miami is doing. I think that Miami's saying, we're just going to take Herbert. No big deal. Go ahead, take Tua, trade up. But they want Tua. There's no way, dude.
Well, I'll tell you what, if that's happening to Bob Quinn, if he's getting bamboozled like that and he doesn't catch on to it.
Bob Quinn.
What?
I don't think it has anything to do with Bob Quinn. I just think that everybody's playing their own game right now, and it's the worst year possible to have like a high-end prospect with high-end health concerns. We're getting screwed, We've done all the things that we can do. We've begged people to, we've given away all of our leverage in a trade just to try to make one happen, Everybody knows the Lions want to move back, including the Dolphins, obviously.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's the biggest storyline for this franchise going into the draft for sure. So that'll be interesting to see. All right, now I got 3 pretty fiery ones for you. The first one's not as fiery, but the next 2 get there. My first one, we're going to see the Patriots trade up for the first time in God knows how long and take Jordan Love.
I think that could happen.
I think it'll be in the top 15.
No, they're not going to do that. That goes against everything the Patriots believe.
Yeah, but the Patriots are in a position now where they get to kind of adjust what they believe.
Why would they after winning all this time now?
I'm not saying change your whole philosophy, but if you have a quarterback that you look at and you're like, this is my guy, you don't miss him. It's a quarterback. The reason this has worked for 20 years is because you had Tom Brady. And I get Belichick's a big part of it too, but you don't get consistent 20 years of winning without Tom Brady. You got to start at quarterback. And I think Jordan Love, I'm all on board with him. I know you're not as sold on him or really sold at all, I don't think. But I'm all on board with him. I think there's going to be 4 quarterbacks in the top 15, and he's one of them.
I do not think that Jordan Love will go in the top 15. I'd be surprised if he goes in the top 23. I just, again, we're looking at like a real risk. NFL coaches are risk averse to begin with, and now they're super. I think we're going to see a ton of offensive linemen, a ton of linebackers, a ton of corners. That's who I think is going to get drafted. A bunch of receivers. It's a deep class. Everybody's been saying it's a deep class. So those are going to be the guys who are going to get moved up, the guys who are known quantities. We're going to see, I think, a pretty chalk draft generally.
Well, and I think the virtual part of it will even kind of enhance that. I honestly think it'll be harder to make trades, do all that stuff. All right, now this has changed since our mock draft show. So I'm ready to hear your reaction on this. I think Jerry Jeudy will be the third wide receiver off the board.
I think he'll be the second wide receiver off the board just because of what he does and like the way that football is played now and the teams that need a receiver. Because I don't think he fits for the Jets as much as like he does the Raiders.
I still think Jerry Jeudy is the best wide receiver in this class. I just think that everything I've read lately basically says people are falling in love with CeeDee Lamb and falling in love with Henry Ruggs 4.27 40 time. So I think that'll push him back. But I actually disagree on that Jets point with you. I think that's the perfect guy for the Jets. I mean, Ruggs might be a little bit better because with Darnold, it's a big arm. You want to be able to just open it up over the top and go. But man, Jerry Jeudy is going to be a guy who's getting 100+ catches every year for the next like 6 or 7 years. Like maybe not his rookie year, of course, but he's going to get there. I'm 100% bought in on the fact that he's Michael Thomas 2.0. But I do think some teams are going to screw up and he's going to go third.
Like the 7th round, right?
What?
Martin. Oh, Michael Thomas.
Yeah, I'm not Michael Thomas. Yeah. Say, 130 catches this year. And then here's another one that I know you're going to hate this one even more.
Oh.
Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre Swift will both go in the first round.
This is the same thing I've been saying. You knew I was going to react like this. You did not mention this in the pre-show. You knew that I was going to scrunch my shoulders and be like, "Stop it." It makes
people
sense.
fall in love with skill positions, man. They fall in love with skill positions.
You're right, but I just don't think that many teams in the NFL are that desperate for a running back.
All I'm saying is if Swift is off the board before the 32nd pick, I'm getting this prediction right. If Swift is off the board before the Chiefs go, the Chiefs are taking Johnny Taylor.
I trust that the Lions were interviewing J.K. Dobbins, right?
I did not see that.
Oh, really? I swear.
Oh, dude. Get him here. Get him here, dude. Yeah, I need that dude. I need Emmitt Smith. Emmitt Smith, bring him over.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, this will be good. Do you want to talk about this quote?
Yeah. I want you to talk about this quote.
Okay. I'm just going to leave this up for a second and kind of let the people – this happened right before right while we were prepping the show. This quote from Schefter came out that the Lions director of IT is going to be stationed in a Winnebago during the draft. He's going to go – sorry. He's going to go. He's going to get in the Winnebago. He's going to wait, and then he's going to go home. And then the next day he's going to come back. And I can't wait for whatever secret footage of like him like Kramer-ing through the door and being like, "What's the problem?" And
you know what I don't understand? If he's got the Winnebago, why is he going home?
Why is he going home if he has the Winnebago?
If you have the Winnebago, are they just like, you're not allowed inside during the draft unless we need you? You're not allowed to be here.
How?
That's
palatial estate in friggin' Rochester Hills.
Just like, what are you doing for the weekend? I'm going to bring my Winnebago, park it in Bob Quinn's driveway. And they're still going to screw it up. If I know anything about the Detroit Lions, Steve Lancaster sucks at his job. If I know anything about the Detroit Lions, he's
Steve Lancaster, but the odds are good that he's not good at his job.
Yes.
It's going to be like, where the draft's going to start, and they'll be like, "Detroit Lions, you're up." And it's going to be like, Raptors go, whoop, like a donut in his mouth.
And hey, it's going to be a Reese's. It's going to be a Reese's. It's giant half-pound Reese's.
A piece of tech advice: use a wired internet connection.
Yes, connect that Ethernet cord.
If I find out that the Lions are using Wi-Fi for this draft, I'm going to freak out.
You're quadrupling your megabytes per second, man. Quadrupling.
When the NFL did their like mock draft, their test run, this was yesterday or earlier today, I can't remember. The days are kind of blurring together a little for me. The very first pick, they were having problems, and they were blaming it on bandwidth, which is kind of like an old man yells at cloud computer problem. Like who knows what that means is what I'm saying. That means nothing. That's like gibberish. There wasn't enough bandwidth is gibberish. Or all of his sons watching pornography all at the same time.
It's I want to know what's going to happen if there is the technical issues. Like, does this team just get 10 more minutes on the clock, or do they get auto-picked? Do they do – because normally if you run out of time – I saw it happen a couple years ago, probably about a decade ago, I think, to the Vikings. They ran out of time. So what happens is, and a lot of people don't know this, your pick gets moved back a pick. So if you're 17 and run out of time and haven't submitted your pick in a real draft, non-virtual – you'll go from 17 to 18, and the team at 18 will move up to 17. Over or under 2 times that happens?
Over.
Over or under 1.5 times in the first 8 picks?
Under. I'm gonna say it just happens once. They get once, and everybody panics.
So we're on like a every 6 pick average.
Yeah, some team is gonna be. It's gonna be like they're gonna be out in Andy Reid's fishing trawler in the middle of nowhere, and they're like Wi-Fi is gonna go out. They're gonna have to move back.
All right. Well, let's get into some. I got a couple over-unders here that I want to see your opinions on for this draft. Yeah. We'll keep it kind of in the same discussion we just had with running backs. Over or under 0.5 running backs taken in the first round?
It's 0.5, over under 0.5.
Yeah.
Over 0.5. I think the Dolphins make a lot of sense. It makes sense.
I do too. Swift or Taylor, though?
Taylor. I think it's Taylor. I think it's crazy that Swift has on some mock drafts like usurped Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor is awesome.
I think Jonathan Taylor is miles better than Swift, but I think I agree with you. What I've read or heard so far, most people have Swift ahead of him, and that just doesn't make much sense to me. Jonathan Taylor is the prototype.
He's like the modern 2 running back guy. Like, it makes a lot of sense for a team to have Swift in their stable, but I don't see how that is like a top 32 pick. You know what I mean?
I think worst case scenario with Jonathan Taylor, and I know he's from Wisconsin, so is Melvin Gordon, but I think it's like Melvin Gordon. I think that's a super fair comparison. Now this one's a little bit tougher. Over under 4.5 wide receivers taken in the first round.
I'm going to go over 4.5. I think that they're more known quantities. You've got more tape. You've got all sorts of reasons that people know what they're going to get with receivers. I just think that that's a logical place. If you're like, man, I don't know anything about like the 8th defensive lineman down or whatever. I don't know if I want to take Mekhi Becton or whatever. I think that the substitute there is just a receiver.
So the reason I take the under is because even in like maybe the deepest wide receiver draft ever, to get a guy who is going into this as the 5th best guy at a position in the first round, I wouldn't feel great about that. I would not.
Wouldn't either.
There's 4 guys at his position better. There's got to be somebody who really stands out to you that can be better than that 5th wide receiver. So I'm going to take the under. I think there's 4. I think it's Jefferson, Ruggs, CeeDee Lamb, and Judy. I think those are the 4 that are off the board.
What's the name of is it Jalen Rager? Who's the 5th now? Yeah, I can see it because he's kind of a burner, right?
Or Laviska Shenault, or it's him, Shenault, and I'm forgetting one too. But yeah,
6, like it seems like 6 pretty surefire wide receivers in this draft. And I think that that's going to become the value. It's going to be like the Patriots aren't going to want to take somebody; they'll just take Shenault or whatever. So
yeah, cool. And then my last one I got for you: trades in the first round, over or under 3.5.
I'm going under. I'm going under on this. I actually think that's a lot of trades for the first round, right? 3.5.
Yeah, I meant to go back and like look and like take an average and then just do the average, but I didn't. So I went with 3.5.
That's lazy podcasting. I just want people to know. I think I was listening to something like some sort of ESPN pod or a Woj pod or something, some insider pod. They're talking about how what they think will happen will be that there will be a lot of like predetermined trades where if this happens, then we're offering you this. that'll be kind of agreed to beforehand. But ultimately, I just think everybody's playing not to lose their job, and I think everybody's just going to pick, and we're all going to move on. I think it's going to be a weird draft of everybody just kind of sitting in place. Everybody wants to move down now, everybody's kind of caught up with that old kind of Bill Belichick, that old like trade value charts. Everybody's got the same one now. Generally, I think everybody knows that you want to move back.
All right, so since you called me freaking lazy, I had to go do some research, and I got some numbers for you.
Okay.
The 1st through 5th pick is traded 7% of the time. 6 through 10, 13% of the time. 11 through 15, 15% of the time. 16 through 20, 17% of the time. 21 through 25, 23% of the time. And 26 through 32, 25% of the time. So there have been 147 total trades in the draft over the last 10 years, 72 of them in the first round. So that's 7 point. That feels wrong, though. The Broncos themselves over the last 10 years have made 13 first-round trades.
Okay. I still think I don't think it'll happen. But it's good. Thank you the podcast is groaning under the weight of statistics at this point.
Damn right. I stepped up right there. I know. All right, and the last thing.
Podcast.
Yeah. The last thing I want to talk about, we'll just touch on it real quick. First of all, fuck anybody who thinks Tampa Bay is a good trademark name, whatever. Get out of here. Drew Orleans is great. We talked about it last week. We're on the same page. I agree. How big of an impact do you think Gronk's going to make?
Minimal. He's washed. They've got 3 tight ends. They've got 2 other good tight ends. OJ Howard.
Yeah, they're going to have to trade one of them. OJ Howard, Cam Brate.
I mean, what's OJ Howard worth? A 6th-round pick. I think you keep.
I thought he would have been part of that Patriots trade. Honestly, I thought it would have been Gronk and like a 6th for OJ Howard and like a 6th or something like that.
Oh, that makes sense. I think that keeping all 3 of those tight ends makes sense for when Gronk gets hurt. I mean, tight ends get hurt all the time.
And if anybody, I know there's probably not many people questioning this still after 20 plus years, but if anybody's questioning how amazing the Patriots are, they just traded a guy who wasn't going to play for them and a 7th-round pick and got a 4th-round pick out of it. They moved up.
Contract.
So basically it was, hey, I'll give you my 7th-round pick for your 4th-round pick in the eyes of the Patriots. Sure. And the deal got done. That's such an amazing move that we would never, ever, ever see happen.
A 4th-round pick is what the Patriots paid for Randy Moss.
That's ridiculous. That's just ridiculous, dude. So Gronk, Godwin, Evans, Antonio Brown.
Maybe, dude. I don't even know.
It's got to. It's got to happen.
Well, there's going to be when this happens, and it seems inevitable that we're walking into 3 weeks of Antonio Brown on the Buccaneers stories. It just seems inevitable that that's what's going to happen. There's going to, and I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. There's going to be a price to pay for Antonio Brown. I don't know what that price is going to be, but I think that there's a chance that they basically say, if you want to get back in the league, you have to sit out a year.
I pretty much did. He lost what, $15 million last year?
Something like that. Yeah, I mean, he kind of walked away from it, and I don't know.
Problem is, he lost the $15 million and kept being crazy. So you got to keep paying.
We need like a content aggregator to get put together Deadspin's all of the crazy things Antonio Brown did in 12 months. Put it all together and remind people that it was borderline kind of scary dangerous, I think, for him.
It was as bad as it's been with any athlete. With any that I can think of off the top of my head. It's as bad as it's been. You know what I'm excited for next year's NFL season?
What?
I get to root for Tom Brady for the first time in my life. I'm going to root for that Tampa team. That Tampa team is so much fun.
Do you think that the Patriots can get another 4th-round pick for Julian Edelman?
4th? I think they could maybe get a 3rd.
Please no. Don't do it. It's not.
And it'll be from us.
Oh, don't. Now you're just.
But if you're the Patriots, you trade him, right?
Yeah, I don't think that tanking is in the Patriots playbook of options or ideas, but if they took him here and wanted to evaluate and they have Stidham and they think that they might have something and he might be somebody, I mean, he's got the pedigree, right? Auburn, That's
And I also don't think flipping a guy like that is tanking necessarily. You're trading an older piece for a top 3-round, top 4-round pick. I think that's exactly what a team. They're not gonna win a Super Bowl next year. If they make the playoffs, I swear to God, I'm done watching football till Belichick's out, because that'll be just ridiculous. If Stidham is their quarterback and they make the playoffs, but they're not going to. So I think next year you take as the year where, if you're Belichick, you won't say it out loud, but 8-8 is probably where I think they'll finish up, regardless of what they do. So you start getting assets, you start building for that following year, and then you either have a quarterback already or you go take one next year, and that's when you really turn back into the Patriots.
Yeah. I think that I still am I think that that's a team that makes sense for Cam Newton, honestly, if we're really looking. But it's got to be the price. From what I've read, the price for Jameis and Cam Newton is too high, and that's why they're.
I wonder if they got any dead cap from making that Brady trade. I would assume so. But I'm going to have to look that up. I got a number for you that I found interesting today. Okay. I was trying to figure out what the Lions' available salary was.
It's like $30 million.
We still have $30 million sitting there. Go get Yannick Ngakoue. Go get him.
I agree. I totally agree. What would you give up? Would you give up pick 35 for Yannick Ngakoue? I would.
If I trade with the Dolphins and have 5-18 or 5-26, I'd do it in a heartbeat. If I didn't, I probably still would do it, because at 35, you're hoping to get a player like Yannick Ngakoue. But that's the guy. That's the move that, if you have a good draft, that's the move that can really cap this offseason for this organization. And that's what I want. That's what I need. Go get it done, Bob Quinn.
So it's all said and done at the end of the draft, if the Lions, after 3 rounds, are looking at Okudah, Ngakoue, and J.K. Dobbins, you're feeling pretty good about that, right?
I'm locking myself in a room and doing some stuff to myself, because I'm very excited about it. It's good.
Yannick Ngakoue and pleasuring yourself, is that what you're saying?
Yes, precisely. I mean, you got to do what you got to do sometimes. All right, Park, you got anything else you want to talk about out here in these streets?
I don't know, man. I thought I did, but I have a note here that says that Justin Herbert has big Ryan Leaf energy.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Oh, that's good. All right. Well, everybody, we will be back Friday night. Not sure for the exact time. So remember, follow us, Fan2Fan Drew, at Fan2Fan Detroit, and at Parker_Hammond. We will tell you exactly when we're going to be on air. It's going to be right there on that Planet Ant YouTube channel. We're going to be discussing the Lions' first and second round picks, any trades they possibly made, and what it could mean for the future. So, Parker, fun as always. I appreciate you. I will talk to you next week, my man.
All right. Have a safe life.
Peace.